running.
All right.
We're at the park right now.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
All right, so we're live on YouTube now, and it is 4:20, so we're gonna go live on the other. Um, so we're gonna go through a few things. We're gonna I gotta go through some sponsors, and then from there we'll get into the conversation with you guys. Cool.
Sounds good.
All right.
Awesome.
Let me know if this is too loud. But I'll play this. Is that me?
Party foul.
For reals. I don't know what happened. We're gonna let this rock for a bit before we get started. All our YouTube viewers, what's up, guys? We see y'all.
Hey.
If you guys are listening in through the TGN Latinx station or Good News Net Radio Network, make sure to check us out in the chat line. We'll be checking you guys out as well. All right, guys. What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Said Connects. We're coming live from the TGN Latinx station. This is your host, Danny. And for our listeners that's been rocking with us for a while, we have a special guest, special co-host in the building. We have Julia that's back. What's up, Julia?
Hey.
We got to get you in the mic there.
Oh.
Hello. We can tell it's your first time in the studio. In the studio.
My first rodeo.
Yeah, but welcome back, everybody. For those that are viewing on YouTube or for those that are listening on the radio network app, this is Danny. Said Connects, Cannabis Entrepreneurial Dialogues, where our mission is to create spaces and people and brands of color to elevate their stories and educate and empower our communities. If you guys are checking us out, make sure to tune in every Monday at 4:20. We got a few sponsors that we got to rock out, but we're excited about our guests today. Today's topic today, we got the Canna Moms in the building today. So we got Eliza and Jessie also in the space. But first, let's go ahead and let's get this the sponsors out. So first, we got Adore LA. Adore LA is a faith-based community. Their mission is to gather as we are to reclaim faith for queer, POC, and marginalized communities. You can go and check them out. You can check them out on Instagram at AdoreLA.org. Or you could also find all of their information through our Instagram page at CED_connects. And then we got our second sponsor, which is La Familia. They were here last week with us, but they're the first Mexican cannabis brand. And you can find them at Cookies, Stizzy's, and March and Ash, and all other shops throughout the state of California. And we actually are going to do a little something today, a little something special. And we have some commercials that we want to showcase. And so we're going to go ahead and bring that to you guys right now. So for those that are viewing on YouTube, you guys are going to get a special view of our first commercial that we have to offer, and let us know what you guys think.
All right.
All right, that was our first commercial ever. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. For those that are watching, though, if you guys want a commercial break, hit us up on the DMs and we can see how we can make that happen for you guys. But moving forward, we want to go ahead and we want to bring on to the stage Eliza Espinoza and Jessie Alvarez. You ladies there?
Yes, hello. How are you guys?
What's
Hey,
up?
fam.
Hello,
Hey, hey.
hello.
Hey, Jesse. So, for our listeners that are listening, we got them coming in all the way from San Francisco and from Oakland. So, if you guys are actually viewing this, you're going to see their pictures up on the screen there. So, we're doing our first virtual interview. So, we're really excited to have you guys here. So, thank you guys for spending your time with us
Thank you, ladies.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
for sure.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
I've been wanting to have you on the show, Jesse, for a minute. So, I'm glad you're finally here.
And for those of you that have been listening to us before we went radio presence, we did interview Elisa podcast style already. So y'all are going to be hearing a little bit about her again if y'all heard it before, because these are some very, very special ladies.
Absolutely. So let's get started for our listeners. We're gonna bring it back and we want to find out a little bit more about our guests. So Jesse, talk to us about a little bit about where you're from and your upbringing.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm Jessie Alvarez, born and raised in San Francisco in the Hunters Point Bayview district. First generation Salvadorian. I'm the youngest of four kids, raised very religious Catholic as a kid, very like conservative. But yeah, like just Bay Area all the way. I have a business in Oakland. I'm sorry, I'm hella Latin because I got hella birds in the background, if you can hear that.
It's all good.
Those pollos,
Like
the
a,
dogs, what we got there.
exactly. All the little pajaritos in the background.
Nice.
Um, but yeah, just born and raised in the Bay and just doing business out here. Super Cali girl, I guess. I've lived up in Sac and I've never lived in LA, but I've gone and done a lot of business down there. But I love my state, but home is San Francisco.
Nice, nice. And Elisa, what about you? Where are you from?
Can you guys hear me? I had a phone call come in. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we can
Okay,
hear you.
okay, cool. So thank you guys for having me. Similar to Jessie, her and I are like sisters. We got the same kind of story, also Salvadorian, first generation. And me and my husband, we co-own a cannabis business out in Humboldt County called Seventh Wave LLC. And we have the ability with our cannabis business to be able to manufacture, distribute, and retail delivery with our business. So that's what we do, and I'm hella excited to be here. I was raised very similar to Jessie, like she was mentioning. Super strict, in a very strict traditional, Latino household, Salvadorian household. My parents came over here to San Francisco in the actually early 80s, fleeing from the Salvadorian Civil War, which I know, many of us have similar stories to relate to. But yeah, so that's kind of how we started out here in the US. And, I was born and raised in San Francisco. I lived there, my whole life up until recently. We're currently living in Oakland, which is just across the Bay Bridge. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you.
Very excited to have you. And y'all, if y'all do get the opportunity to connect with Jessie, aside from everything else that she does, she would make a great tour guide because she showed us all the hot spots.
Thank you.
Yes, Jessie,
That's
thank
gonna be the
you.
next job right there.
For
I'm gonna have
sure,
my own
yeah.
tour guide. Just get
For
stoned
sure.
and go get lost in the city.
Yeah.
For all our listeners, we went back and we went to the Bay in July, right? Or June, July, somewhere around there. And we met up with everyone. And yeah, Jessie definitely took the time out of her day to show us around the city. So that was
Yeah.
definitely dope.
I like that.
It was fun.
Little mural tour.
Yeah. So, ladies, what was the message behind cannabis as a child for you guys?
Well, for me, I mean, cannabis was hella taboo. You know, cannabis was not spoken about. It wasn't a conversation in our household. It was just, you know, something that I didn't even understand or learn about until I was exposed to it outside of my house, you know? So, um, growing up, you know, that was my experience. It wasn't anything that was spoken to, you know, I couldn't ask questions. It was just like, don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. And you know, once I was able to branch out and kind of be like a curious teenager, that's when I really started to learn what cannabis was recreationally. um, and thankfully for that, you know, that kind of led me down the path to where I'm at today. So that's my experience.
Nice. And Jessie?
So I grew up in kind of a rougher neighborhood in the city, Bayview, Hunters Point, and like weeds everywhere. Like there's like when I was growing up, there was like dudes on the corner selling sacks and other things as well besides weed. But where because my parents were so strict, like that was like you saw someone smoking or anyone doing that kind of business out there, we'd cross the street and those people are, you know, they're bagos, they're like up to no good, they're like
Yeah.
pandilleros, like don't even talk to them, like don't look at way, like just let's get into the house. So that was the atmosphere that we were raised around. So it was like very like don't even like associate with that. That's like nothing good will come of it because it's like a gateway drug is how I was raised. I mean, later, that was like from very, very young. Like our neighbors would sit on our steps in front of our house and like, you know, break up blunts and leave all the blunt guts in front of the steps. And my mom would be so upset, like, oh my gosh, there's, you know, blunt guts on the steps. And so now fast forward, I was like in going into high school and it was like more of a culture. Like there was like more people like it was like what you did in addition to like maybe you would have a drink or two with your friends, but this was like also like the bonding thing to do. Like when you were in high school, you would go up to Twin Peaks or, you know, or Hippie Hill in Golden Gate Park or anywhere to go kind of kick it with your friends. You weren't really of age to be drinking or doing anything. So what would you do? You know, you go and you'd smoke. And it always was super cutty about it because like I said, my parents were not for that. So if we were doing that, you know, you had your whole little kit. I had my Listerine strips, hand sanitizer, Febreze, gum, eye drops, everything
Yeah.
ready to go back to the house like nothing happened, you know, like acting
Yeah.
hella suspicious and hungry. So but yeah, that was how I was raised with it.
That's funny that you said that because this what on Thursday for Thanksgiving we were at some friend's house and we went out to smoke outside in the patio. And when I came back in, Dalia was like wanted to get all over me, and one of the guys there said, "Go grab what was it a fabric softener sheet and rub that all over your shirt so that you can get rid of the smell." And so it just got me thinking like these are some of the things that we need to do, especially for our kids, and we're definitely going to tap into that and talk about that. But before we do, we got the chat lines going on. So here on the chat line, we got Sheila saying, "Hey, hey, what's up, Mama? How are you?"
Hey.
We got Johnny. What up, Johnny? Johnny's all the way in Texas right now. He says Canna Mamas, Wepa with the music that was going on, and then most recently said 1970s Escobar era fueled the stigma on marijuana and the Latin America war on marihuaneros. Um, Definitely want to elaborate on that, Johnny, in a little bit, but ladies, I know that you guys have a big role in the cannabis industry. Um, what exactly are your roles? I know, Elisa, you kind of touched on it a bit, but Jesse, what's your role in the cannabis industry?
So we have a family business. It's me and my brother that we started out more professionally together. I started out my career right out of high school, but it was not very professional, and it was always like kind of like a side job, and kind of like this is would be so cool if I could make it into a career, but I never thought it was going to be reality. I started out as a trimmer. One of my really good friends had friends that their family owned land up north in Humboldt, and we would go up and do like trimming jobs. So we'd go up there and learn how to trim, and you like camp on the land and you process all the plant, and sometimes they would be doing different making different products on the farm. And so that was my first intro to it. And then like you know, I was dabbling with that. I had many other jobs while doing that at the same time. And like I said, my brother is in the industry too, but I didn't know that because since we were raised so strict, we were all hella cutty. Like we were trained to be like little spies. Like no one knew who smoked in the house. Later I found out, like, you know, my siblings all smoked. And I'm like, what the fuck? We all could have been smoking together. Like,
Yes.
excuse my language. Sorry. Sorry, potty mouth. But you know, like I didn't know that. And then it wasn't until we were at an event, there was like a lot of different farms were there and they were selling their product. And this was in the medicinal days. This is before it was legal, like how it is now. There was no real dispensaries, only medical dispensaries. And I saw my brother from afar. I spotted him. I thought I was tripping, like, damn, like, is that my brother? And I got really like paranoid because when I was lit, and two, I was like, oh my God, he's gonna tell someone in my family. And so I didn't say anything at first. And then I was like, well, if he's here, he must be up to something too. So then we started talking about it, and he went big brother on me, like, what are you doing here? And what is this? And this is definitely not like where you should be. And then ended up being that we knew a lot of the same people, and I connected him to people that he didn't know, and it ended up being like this thing where slowly he started introducing me into his world, which was way more advanced than what I was doing. He was working with Dr. Dave Pate, who was making RSO for a lot of sick patients, and he was extracting cannabis, which I was like, how do you, like, what does that even mean? And so he basically brought me into that world, and I kind of like learned the ropes of what extraction was and formulation was with cannabis extracts. So we learned how to extract cannabis with ethanol and CO2. So that was like my first real like my crash course. And we slowly started developing into a business where we were using all our contacts from different farms that we were learning, that I had already contacts with, my brother had contact with, and we were processing all their trim that they weren't using and making it into oil. And then when we started making that oil, we started selling that oil into making different products for tinctures, for edibles. And then we started working on, when a lot of other people at the same time were working on this too, on making it clear so it could become a distillate, and then what you see in the vape pens. So we were not, we were in that same process as a lot of other companies that were trying to figure out how to make it into a cleaner, wax-free distillate that was more potent. So we went from there, and then we started working as consultants to help other people learn how to do that too, and in different parts of Cali, because we were all, our business had been based out of Oakland. And then we had buddies in LA, we had buddies up north, and they wanted to do the same thing. So we started to do consulting on helping other lab build outs so people could figure out how to do the same thing. I mean, I can go on because we have a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to take up too much time, but
no.
And then the floor is yours, Mama.
But from that point on, we helped a lot of people troubleshoot a lot of different equipment, because even though we learned on specific equipment and we were really good at that equipment, when other people were building out their labs, they already had buddies that were like, hey, we like this CO2 extractor, we like this butane extractor, we like this ethanol extractor. So we got a lot of access to seeing a lot of different equipment. That was pretty cool because it's really expensive equipment. I mean, that's like, you know, you're buying, you know, $50,000 to $100,000, sometimes $300,000 machines. And that's just not in our grasp. Like we saved all our money for our setup, and being able to try every single kind of machine out there was one of the really good luxuries of being a consultant. But then we also saw a lot of the flaws with a lot of the equipment. So working with Dr. Dave Pate and my brother and I, we started developing a process of thinking of how we can create a better extractor after troubleshooting so many different ones and seeing what the problem was. And it could be that it couldn't process a very large amount of cannabis, or maybe it took too long, or maybe extracted more fats than the actual oil that you needed. But we ended up reaching out to Cool Clean Technologies, which is an American company based out of Minnesota, and they do CO2 cleaning extracting. They're like the leaders in CO2 cleaning. So like if anyone's ever had like a hip replacement or a breast implant all these machines that the surgery centers use to clean to make sure that it's nice and sterile is made by Cool Clean Technologies. So they extract everything off of everything using CO2, so it's nice, clean, and sterile. So we reached out to them and we started developing a CO2 extractor. Back in 2014, 2015 is when we started doing this, and we've been selling this equipment as a bulk extractor a lot, mostly in the hemp industry and a few in the cannabis industry, because we've been a little selfish. We wanted to keep it a little bit to ourselves in the beginning to make sure that we had access to a lot of the cannabis stuff. But now we have a few different ones in different states. Since then, we've had our own license in Oakland, California. We're Joyus Wellness and Recreation Group. And we manufacture a lot of different products. We make vape pens, edibles, topicals, pre-rolls, jarred flower. A few of our brands are Fuego 415, the Fizz right there. Yes, that's one of our drinks that we make in-house at Joyus. And that's a good flavor too right there. And
Danny's in LA out.
Yo,
I'm
keeping LA out here because I went and picked up this from a different shop. I got strawberry here, and this strawberry is really good.
He's getting all them first time discounts.
Yeah, I'm going
to all these shops.
I'm going across to every single dispensary, getting the first time buyer discounts and just unloading on them. I bought like 6 bottles
That's
today.
great. Thank you for the support. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we got the quickies too. We got the quickies there.
Yep. Those ones are the heavy hitters. Those are pretty strong. The whole jar is 100 milligrams, and it's pretty strong. Those ones are. I'm a lightweight. I could do a cap full, and it then puts me on my ass. I can drink a whole Fizz bottle and be good, but those ones are a little stronger. but yeah, so we've been in the industry for a little bit. And my brother and me have we've had many adventures in the cannabis world, and just trying to keep the business going. It's hard, but it's keeps us excited, and we're still out there doing it, and we're grateful for it.
Nice.
You were gonna say, speaking about lightweight.
Yeah, speaking of being lightweights, what are your preferences, ladies, as far as indulging?
Go ahead, Jessie.
I love my vape pens. I formulate my own all the time. I'm working with a lot of different cannabis terpenes right now, then making different flavors. I think that's kind of like my go-to always is vape pens. But I mean, you can't go wrong with just like a joint and or a glass pipe. That used to be my go-to. I had a little kit with my glass pipe. It was my little one hitter.
Yeah, for me, I think I would definitely say it's just, classic joints. And then when I like to indulge and, kind of really like to get the experience, I like doing the volcano. I remember doing that when I was...
What's the volcano?
The volcano, it's like a vaporizer that it's basically like this little contraption that looks like a little volcano. And when you turn it on, it fills up this bag filled of vapor. And you put like the flour kind of grounded up in there. So when it burns, that whole bag is filled with vapor, and then you basically just hit it from the bag. So it's real cool because that was like maybe the first time I think I ever tried doing anything like other than joints, taking it when I was younger, and it had me on my ass. And I was like, okay, I could fuck with this, like it's nice. It's a nice way to just kind of consume and indulge here and there.
Yeah.
And so at least
the PAX Vapor is amazing portable version of that. That's like my also in my bag at all times.
Oh, those snacks. I remember when we were out there, Samir had where he had he was packing the flour in the little.
Yeah, that's the packs.
That's
you
the packs
you grind up your
okay.
flour, and it's essentially like the portable version of what Elisa's talking about. It just doesn't have the bag, so you're just hitting it straight from you're hitting it like a vape pen, but it's ground up flour. So it's really nice because it has settings where you can change it so you can taste more of the terpene profile. So it's really, really nice if you have some really good flour and you want to taste all the terpenes in there. It's really good. So that one's a nice one. But I think it's just hard to be like out smelling like weed sometimes now. I feel like it's a little bit different now that I'm a mom because I used to be able to like not give
And
a
we're
fuck
definitely
if I
gonna get
smelled like
into
it,
that
but now
part.
I'm like,
Yeah,
but
well, we're
yeah, that
definitely,
was like it's still less stinky though. The packs is still less stinky than smoking a joint, but still.
yeah, for sure, and we'll get into the the um the stigmas behind mothers and consuming. But I wanted to get back into a question. Um, you brought up with the packs and and terpenes. Is how important is that in terms of temperature settings when you are smoking, and the benefits behind the temperature settings?
So, a lot of the different flowers and the strains, what makes them the strains is the terpene profile. So if you're like smoking a Blue Dream versus like a gelato or, or something really gassy, like some Pluto or something like that, you'll be able to taste that a little bit when you're burning it, but like when you're burning it just like a straight joint, it's like you can't control that. So if you have like the option, which is what technology has given us, and it's pretty amazing, you can turn up and down the settings on like the volcano or the packs or there's like a trippy stick. There's multiple different portable vaporizers that exist now. Like G-Pen has one too, but you can turn it different at different settings. So the lower, you're not necessarily going to get that much smoke, but you're going to taste all those profiles. And the profiles is what's going to give you different effects. And there's a lot of different studies going on right now that are showing like what these different terpenes are helping you. Like they can give you more of a body high. It can put you in a more uplifting and happier moment, or it can put you in a more relaxed, like deeper sleep or things like that. So there's different profiles of terpenes and different cannabinoids that will get activated at different temperatures. So that's what's really cool about like going back and thinking about when we're growing up and just like smoking whatever like swag ass weed I can get my hands off on, and like just being like, oh, that was cool. Like who the hell knows what it was? Like versus now that like I could have like a notebook and be like, I got this flower, I got, my 4Gs THCV, and I felt like hella good, no munchies, and like hella productive. Or I got, like my, gelato or something like that, and it made me really, really munchy. And I can taste these profiles, and I can have these, and they can take notes of what these effects are. Versus, before you didn't know any of that stuff. That's like the era we're living in. It's almost a little bit too much information sometimes, because then people get really hung up on it. But yeah, it's pretty cool if you're into it.
For sure, for sure. Thank you for elaborating on that.
And it's obvious that you know what you're talking about, right? You have the experience in the field. And that was something that we did want to bring up and ask about. You ladies are in positions of power and management in cannabis, and you are women, right? Can you elaborate on some of the experiences that you've had, walking into boardrooms, walking into spaces? You have all this information under your belt. You have all this vast knowledge, but because you present a certain way or because they saw something walk in the space, they get I don't know, they make their judgment calls.
There's definitely, I would say, you hit it on the nail. Like people make judgments just based off of how you look and you being a woman. For me, personally, I remember when we first started pumping out our first brand 4Gs. It's a 4-gram eighth flower, and when we first started, having these meetings with dispensary owners and buyers and trying to just meet with different people to put ourselves on, it was really difficult for me, I would say, because I felt like people automatically just kind of assumed that I had no clue what I was talking about, that because I was a woman, because I was young, it was different. Whereas my husband, he would walk into the same room with the same people and get a completely different reaction, And so it's interesting because I saw that pretty early on, into the legal cannabis industry, and we had to kind of shift the way we worked, you know what I mean? Just because we needed to make business, we needed to make sales, and so we couldn't really afford to have a meeting go sour because of the simple demographic of me being a woman, you know, and being Latina. And so now that we are where we are and we've grown and, you know, we've landed certain deals and stuff, the dynamics have shifted. My husband has taken more of a backseat while I've gone ahead and you know, taken the reins and just kind of led, you know, the ship. And it's, you know, it's working for us and people are now like really respecting it. But you know, it was really difficult, and I'm not gonna lie and say, you know what I mean, like that it was easy or that it didn't phase me, because it did 100%, you know. And I think just being courageous enough to kind of get over that hump and just do, you know, doing it, really, you know, it was hard at first, but now like it's, you know, it's empowered me. It's made me feel stronger to the point where now I feel like I'm confident enough to start my own brand, you know, and just continue showing that to not only my daughter, but any other women in the industry or people who are thinking about getting in the industry. So that's my story.
And can we talk a little bit about what you're dabbling in, Eliza, or is that for future?
No, well, we could talk about it. Yeah, for sure. So, in 2022, so about a month away, we're going to go ahead and launch our first, you know, women-owned brand for Seventh Wave, which will be my brand. We are going to hit the concentrate market. And I don't want to say, you know, exactly what the brand is yet, because we haven't officially announced it. We are calling it Juicy Dabs. And so the idea of it is basically just kind of empowering that, empowering women, but also just in general, like empowering that feeling of feeling sexy, you know, and what comes with that. And so I was just talking about this to my sister earlier, that, you know, I think cannabis has been so suppressed for years and years and years. And women have been suppressed for years and years and years, you know, and it was a no-brainer for me to want to bring those two together. And also add the component of freely expressing yourself sexually, you know what I mean? And feeling confident in that way. For me, when I consume cannabis, like I feel like I am my most confident in that moment, you know what I mean? And so it's a whole experience that I kind of want to throw out there, and I want to like support and have women feel empowered enough to learn and continue, you know, learning more about cannabis and different ways to consume. You know, there is so much education that needs to be put out, and I really want to be able to tackle that with the brand, you know, and kind of normalize it just a little bit more.
That deserves another round of applause. I love that.
No, you know, I'm not right now that you're
Yes,
speaking,
I love it.
and you're sharing on how you feel you're sexiest. For me, when I indulge, like so many like guards just like go down, right? So
yes,
that allows me to like just be myself and just come as I am, and you know, just not come in with all these like anxieties or whatever it is that's going on in my head, right? So yeah, that is
no, absolutely. And I think like we have been so conditioned, you know, everybody has, right? But like for me, because I could speak about me being a person who identifies as a woman, like I do feel like I have gone through life having to conform, you know what I mean, to societal norms. Cannabis has gone through that same experience, you know, and it was something that I felt like, you know, it's a no-brainer, you know what I mean? Cannabis does make you feel good. Like it makes you feel, you know, just relaxed enough to enjoy certain experiences a little bit more, right? And so I really want to push just, you know, being able to empower people through my products. Like once you take a little hit of Juicy Dabs, it makes you feel grown and sexy. You know, you want to just chill with your boo. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
Let me go through these chat lines real quick. We got Carlos Martinez here. Saludos, Danny and Julia. What's up? What's up?
Hey, fam.
We got Sheila, got my mom there saying, are those only for business or do they have home use? I'm assuming that's for the cool technology. We got Johnny going in as well. I can't get enough. Can't get into it through the phone, but I'd love to elaborate on that. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you, Johnny, for the love.
Thank you. Lotus, dile no a opresión.
That's right, Lotus.
That's right. And then yes to sexual expression. Johnny, yes, as well. And PTSD goes out the door.
Yes, Johnny. Thank you for sharing that. Mental health, all of that, everything, it all ties in. We embody all of that.
Yeah. So, Jessie, what about you? Like, what experiences have you encountered or dealt with in your leadership and management role?
I mean, as far as like intimately in our own company, I've been very fortunate that everyone and our team has been very supportive of me. Even though I am the only woman on the team, everyone is very like chill. But when we go to trade shows to sell some of the equipment that we help manufacture, and like people come up to our booth and then they ask me like, oh well, who can I talk to that knows about this? And I'm just like
Me.
you're
Right
talking to
here.
me. This
Yeah.
is me. And then sometimes I'm just like, fuck it, like, here, let me just pass this guy to somebody else, because I just don't have the patience. Like, there are moments where I just feel like so defeated about it, like I don't have the energy. And that's happened a lot at trade shows. We do every year, we're at MJ BizCon, and guaranteed at least once a day, if not more, will someone try and be like, well, who's the person that I can speak to who's actually run one of these machines? And I'm like, I am the person that runs the machine. I am the extractor. I'm the one that does the physical work. But, they see, a 5'2" Latina, and, and it's Vegas. So I'm dressed up and probably got my fake eyelashes on because I'm doing the most when I'm in Vegas.
As
And they're
you
probably
should.
like, yeah, this girl is not doing that. That's not how I am at work. But when I'm in Vegas, that's different. So, I
Right.
mean, honestly, yeah, there is that. I've been, and similarly, like how Eliza has had that experience in business meetings where, um, it's like, me and my brother walk in and they assume that because I'm also the younger sister, that it's like my input, it's like I'm the assistant of some sort. Like, when they're asking technical questions, yeah, my brother knows the answers to it, but the person who's physically doing it on the regular basis is me. And a lot of the time they would rather hear it from my brother, um, versus hearing it from me. And my husband's a scientist, and so when he comes and he helps us at trade shows or at any kinds of events like this, the same thing happens. My husband doesn't do all the extraction, like he doesn't have as many hours doing the work as much as I do. But because he's a scientist, because he's a man, then therefore when he says it, it's like, oh, now it's real. Even though I literally just may have said the same facts just a few seconds prior, it's now real because someone else, it's a dude, said it, and it sucks. But I some of it is like, I'm grateful that cannabis is so welcoming to women. In the bigger picture, if you look at the big picture, where there's a lot of women owned cannabis business. I
Yes.
didn't know that until recently, how many there were. We're expanding. There's a lot of like women leadership, and you can't say that about all industries. So we're fortunate in that, but we could do more. There could be better scenarios, and people could, there's still that stigma that people will look at you like, okay, yeah, like they hired you because you're here to attract people to the booth, and
Right.
you don't really know what's up. So I mean, it sucks, but I mean, I've worked in so many other industries where that's happened, and if not worse. um but so it's not like I'm like saying it's okay, but I think that there's progress being made. And it just gotta, like, there's every now and then there's a pendejo that comes along that does some shit that you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why aren't you taking me seriously? But sometimes it's their loss, because then I don't have the patience for it, and I'm not going to share my knowledge with someone like that.
Right.
Right.
And you definitely have a wealth of knowledge.
For sure.
Yeah. One of the questions that just came in for the so I guess the question was on those CO2 extractors that you were talking about earlier, Jesse. Is that only commercial use, or is there a way for consumers to also be able to take advantage of being able to extract their own cannabis? Is that something that you've heard of or out in the market that you know of?
Yeah, there are machines and equipment for home use. um God, I can't think of it. I think one is like the magic butter. I think the other one's Levo, but we don't do that. We are industrial, bulk So we're doing like every single run is from 100 to 300 pounds of biomass going into the machine. So it's definitely not for home use. Requires a lot of power. But there are some. I'm gonna look it up. I think I think it's called Levo. They you can get your own flower, and it extracts cannabis oil and then infuses it into olive oil or into your butters. A lot of people, like the home chef, that's like what people tend to use. But let me look it up because I don't want to be wrong.
Yeah, no. And over this past weekend, I think, or last weekend, right?
Yes.
Julia just made some can of butter, with coconut oil, and that was a process too.
Right, and that was your time, like your first time, like
actually seeing the whole process.
It?
Yeah, I've never seen the process of making oil.
He saw me decarb, and he like lifted the lid and was like, "It's not done." I was like, "Boy, that is step one. Get out of here with that." But anyways, all right. So this episode is called
yeah, it was called the Levo 2. Sorry, just wanted to put that out. The Levo is it's
Levo
herbal
2?
oil water and infusion and encapsulates your flower for you. Yes.
Nice.
Thank you for that, Sheila. And we can connect y'all too,
for sure,
after the episode if y'all want to have more of an in-depth conversation. I know both of you are willing to what is it, knowledge share. So this episode is called Canna Moms. So if we could just slide into that role, do y'all mind sharing how old your children are?
Yeah, so I have a baby girl at 1.5 years old. So she's here. You'll probably hear her in the background, baby Wavy. Yeah. And then I also have a blended family with my husband, and he has 2 children. And they are 21 and 12. Okay. So we got all ages.
Yes, you are everywhere.
And Jessie?
My little guy is he's 13 months. He just turned a year in October. So he's a little toddler.
Nice. Happy birthday to baby.
So then, so ladies, what are some of the stereotypes of being a mother and consuming cannabis? I feel like, okay, you know, you're in high school, you're in college, you're past that, you're in your 20s, and you're consuming cannabis. There's that, but then you're a mom, so you know, a lot of things you used to do, you got to put down, put on the shelf, throw out the window. But we've decided not to. What do y'all ladies think about that? Or what are some of the stereotypes you ladies have seen or experienced?
I mean, being a mom in general, you get hella stereotypes right off the bat. You know what I mean? You have to be a certain kind of mom to be a good mom, right? And who even knows what that is? And so for me, I think, you know, what I've found to be more of a stereotype when it comes to like cannabis consumption and motherhood is like, one, that I'm not a good mom because I consume cannabis. I'm probably like a loose mom, you know, because I consume cannabis, and I'm not, you know, I'm probably not strict enough, or, you know what I mean? Like I let things kind of fly. I'm just kind of like lazy, you know, let things go. So, I mean, I think there's so many different stereotypes and just, you know, like negative, you know, impressions that people think about cannabis use and motherhood. But I think the one that's most pressing too, and like most like dangerous, I guess, is to be labeled as like a mom who is dangerous to her child because you consume cannabis. You know, like because you consume cannabis and say you're taking in you're having a little session to yourself, you know, that is considered dangerous to some people. And I think that's probably the most, you know, like just hard, I guess the hardest stereotype that I've encountered. But yeah, that's my experience with that.
Jessie?
It's crazy because like when you look at any other parent and they get to go to happy hour and have like a glass of wine or something, and you're like literally holding your child and have a beer in your hand kind of thing, and that's like no one like bats an eye. Like even when I didn't smoke throughout my pregnancy. I grew up in the Bay Area, like I said, and I have so many friends who during their pregnancy they smoked, and They didn't like their children are brilliant. Like I don't think there's any issue with that, but I didn't do it personally myself when I was pregnant because I was scared. I had friends who um, told their doctor, their gynecologist, that they were smoking during pregnancy, and they basically were threatening CPS. Like these are some very serious situations. So a lot of when I was pregnant and even after, I was steering clear, and I was really scared because I just didn't know, especially because I really hadn't been advertising that I was in the cannabis industry only to like a few of my friends. But then when I started putting it on social media and kind of like putting our business out there to get more sales and like stepping out and like marketing and things like that, it almost puts a target on your back. Like, okay, she's a business owner of cannabis and now she's pregnant. So it almost feels like someone was going to like try and snitch me out or something, or I don't know what. So I got really paranoid about it. Like it was just like not a good decision for me at the moment. And so I was really worried about that. Now, Keanu's a year old, and I can smoke here and there, but I still like, and no one's really ever said anything to me. I think this is almost self-imposed because I get so like paranoid, like that someone's gonna see me, someone's gonna say something, or I'm not even with my child when I'm doing it, but like I feel like there's gonna be like some repercussion. And I think that that's just like from so many years of like things happening to other people that I do know, then and they've had bad experiences. But it's a balance, and I don't smoke around my child because I don't want him to smell it. I don't want him to be around it like that yet. And maybe with time I'll be more comfortable, like the same way like how you want to put like fabric softener on your shirt. Like that's the same thing. Like maybe not like, maybe I'll ease into it. I know that there's like people that can, and maybe I will never be that person that would just be able to just do that. I also don't really like to drink that much in front of my child either, but at the same time, like I should be able to do that without anyone saying a damn thing. Like that's how I see it. Like I would never judge any other parent for their way to wind down and relax, because that's really what it is. It's a way to wind down and relax. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stereotypes out there. I bear witness to it happen to a lot of my girlfriends since they had kids before me. I was one of the ones that waited a lot longer to start our family, and I saw that, and I would always get really upset when we were out walking and she hit her vape pen, and someone that her baby is like a few feet away with their dad, but because we're seen as a group, like, you degenerate, like what, like the baby's fine, he's taken care of, and people have like this impulse to like say something. And it's also just lack of knowledge. There's that stigma. People don't get it. They don't understand it. They bulk all of cannabis together with like hard drugs. So it's just that at some point, I try and be forgiving in the fact that people are just not that educated on it yet. I dedicated my life to becoming educated on cannabis. So I try my best when I can is to help people understand there's a lot of medicinal benefits to this. And the same way you can have your glass of wine, it's the same way as if I want to take a hit off my vape pen or off my a pipe or whatever. But definitely, yeah, it's been a weird balance right now, especially.
I think we lost that last piece there. But Julia, what about you? What are your what stereotypes have you experienced as a Canna Mom?
Oh, I feel like I mentioned in the beginning, people that knew me maybe had an expectation of like, okay, now you're done with that chapter of your life, right? Because now you're gonna be a mom. And I was like, okay, but is Danny done with that chapter in his life? Because ain't no one saying nothing about Danny. You know,
I imposed myself. I stopped myself.
That's hella real, Julia. That's how I feel about Timo. Because with him, it's so like, it doesn't matter. That's who he is. That's what he does. But for me, the minute I had my baby girl, it was different. It was like I was getting questioned. What's next? You know what I mean? So I'm happy you brought that up.
When like thing comes up around you, and you're just like, oh, I'm a saint now. Like, wait, no, like, please, like, keep that on you. Like, don't put that on me, please. So I think that was one of the things. And then yeah, like smelling like it, I feel like that's my own personal preference or my own personal like reservation. I love the smell of flower, like fresh flower. I think it smells so beautiful. But yeah, once you've smoked it, I don't like the smell of cigarette smoke either. I don't like the smell of it. So I think that would be like one that I'm just like, oh, okay, I think I smell like this or whatever. But I mean, we worked in the cannabis industry as parents, and we would come home smelling like the fresh flower. And I had no qualms about that. I was just like, dang, I smell bomb. But
there should be some cologne out there for this, like fresh flowered cologne.
Oh, I think you just came up with an idea. Do it.
Like when we would work on like some strawberry banana, I'd be like, oh man, nice.
That smells good.
Yeah.
And we always knew what we were working on as we were coming into the building, because you could smell it from like a mile away.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, we're working on lemon hash today.
Right. The citrus ones for sure. So have y'all, and I think this one question I think goes out more to Eliza. You have the older children. Do they ask you questions, or do they talk to you openly about cannabis? Because we didn't share that. We have a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old and another on the way. So have
so
the older
exciting.
Yeah.
So the older kids, so it's interesting, because they're 10 years apart, right? So one is an adult, and the other one is a preteen right now. And I think we all, and I mean, when I say we, I mean Jessie, Latinos in Cannabis, Danny, right? We all met each other, I want to say about a year ago, like in December, right? January. Yeah. And I remember having a Latinos in Cannabis room where we were talking about parenting. And you guys, Danny and Julia, you guys shared your story about talking to your daughter about it, right? And for me, that really, I think, opened my eyes, you know what I mean? And your experience and hearing that, to be able to talk to our 12-year-olds, about it as well, because they're the same age. The older one, he consumes cannabis, he and his dad like to partake together. And like I said, he's an adult though, you know what I mean? So for him, I think he grew up, with the smell around him. Same thing with our 12-year-olds, with the smell always around, we're in the industry. There's no hiding it. When they ask, like, what does mommy and daddy do for work? We're going to say, we work in the cannabis industry, and we have to elaborate what that is. And so I think for us, like, taking the approach of it being a medicinal plant, it being an herb, it being something that helps our bodies, and, learning about what our endocannabinoid system is and what it needs and how to nourish it, with a lot of, as much as we can find, like, sources, scholarly sources, is kind of the approach that we have taken, with our 12-year-old. When she became a little bit more curious into what we were doing, and understood what cannabis was, it wasn't like, this like big old announcement that we kind of had to do to her. She kind of like already knew, and then we just confirmed it. And with our confirmation of, like, what we did and the fact that we consume cannabis, adding the educational components behind it, I think was really really important, because after that initial conversation that we had with her, it was easy for her to come back to us and talk about, like, where cannabis is in her current life with her social friends right now, you know what I mean? And where she is with that. And she was a lot more open. And I think had we not approached it in that way, where it was just like super normal, you know, super medicinal and herbal, like it could have gone completely different, you know? So I think about my experience, and like I said earlier, you know, my parents had absolutely no conversation with my sisters and I about cannabis. And it took for me to actually be curious to go seek it elsewhere, you know, and I don't want my kids to ever have to feel like they can't come talk to us about cannabis or anything, even if it's alcohol or, you know, wanting to be curious about sex, anything at all, you know, like if they want to come speak to us, like I want to have an open door policy, you know, that they are allowed to come speak to us and know that we're not going to just like shut them down or, you know, just judge them right off the bat, and we can have open conversations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's important. And that was, you know, Danny and I had these conversations because there is no handbook, there is no way to do it, and no one has modeled that type of parenting to us as far as cannabis or drugs go. Because for me, the way I was raised was all drugs are bad. So, okay, all drugs are bad. And then I tried weed and I was like, this ain't that bad. And then, and then, you know, I'm like, okay, so what else is out there? And what, you know, what else can I mess with? And it's like, no, they're not all on a level playing field, and they're not going to do the same thing to you, and they're going to affect you in very different ways. And let's have an open, honest conversation about that, and how you will be affected by these long-term, short-term, personally, society, you know, in all avenues. But when we first started having conversations with our 12-year-old about it, we're like, ask us anything, ask us whatever you want. But then we're like, she doesn't know what to ask, right? Like she doesn't have, you know, oh, well, riddle me this, like what's better, what hybrid, you know, or, you know, sativa, indica, tell me the different strains or whatever. Like she doesn't know where to come from. So a lot of her original questions were more like, when'd you do it?
Yeah.
Who did you do it with? You know, who exposed you to it? You know,
Yeah.
just trying to hear like what our experiences were with it. And, you know, that was another one that stumped us. Where we're like, way older than you know, I didn't do it till I was 18, you know. But then it's like,
no, for sure.
we need to have these honest like open, honest streams of dialogue and conversation with each other. So that's been something that we've worked on together too. Like sometimes we'll look at, or she'll share something, like she'll overshare, and like I could hear the knot in Danny's throat, like gulp, and I'm like, bro, like hold it in, come on, like poker face, because she's doing what we're asking her to do.
Yeah.
You know, she's sharing like her experiences with us.
Yeah. So and just
Yeah.
even having that experience is dope. Just like it's, as a parent, makes me feel like I'm doing my job. Like we're doing our job in the sense of,
Right.
like we're allowing her to speak her mind and doing what we told her we were gonna do by not judging her for doing it.
Right. And I think, you know, anything with parenting is scary, you know, like you don't know how your experiences are going to go until you actually go through them, especially if you haven't seen it done before. And I think of cannabis, you know, I'm a firm believer of generational trauma in our lives, you know, and we've gone through what has affected us, or what has affected our ancestors, I definitely believe affects us, you know what I mean, in our lineage. And I think cannabis has the ability to break a lot of that trauma and those curses, you know, that we have been exposed to and have grown up with. And I think, you know, it's scary because, like you said, nobody has given us, you know, a book on how to do this. And it's something that we have to come up with ourselves. And, you know, I really do congratulate every parent in the cannabis industry. You know what I mean? It's to be a canna parent, you know, and be able to talk to your children about it and educate them. You know, we're really at the end of the day nurturing the next generation, you know, and the information that we tell them, they're going to live day by day, you know what I mean, in the future with, right? So it's I think it's a beautiful thing to have parents who are like us, you know what I mean, that can have those conversations. And it's scary, but it's nice to have a community too, you know, to be with other folks that are going through the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. Do want to go back into this chat line real quick. We have Chef Layla tuning in through the app. saying Jessie represents my favorite Canna Mom to have a session with.
Ooh.
And we got Tony, I see you, primos.
Yay.
And also the plant smells amazing.
It does.
It does. Carlos, glad to hear that these relevant topics of women and moms in the workforce. My wife faces similar disadvantages as women in the workforce. Thank you for sharing that, Carlos.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it doesn't happen in one field, or it happens across a lot of fields, and we are definitely like, I don't even like to say glass ceiling or whatever, but we're definitely breaking through spaces and creating spaces for our children and for the next generations and for the next league of women that are coming through. And you know, you got brains, beauty, brawn, you got it all. Come through and just add to this, bring more to the table. So
we also got Brenda here. Also, Julia, you're a great addition to the program. Danny, thanks for this knowledge. Thank you guys for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys listening in. And for everyone else that's tuning in, we really appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. And we got some questions for you two ladies. It's going to be, would you rather? So we got a list of questions. We'll go ahead and let you guys answer the best answer that you guys see fit. You guys ready for that?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. So first,
I'm down.
Would you guys rather be
ladies?
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you ladies rather be a genius to know everything or be amazed at every activity you try?
Be amazed by every activity I try.
I feel like that's how I live my
life.
life.
Same.
I feel like for me on this one, okay, so I picked this question. But on this, like, I remember when my 2-year-old was like way younger and she was like in awe of bubbles. And I remember laying down with her and looking up at the bubbles, and I was like, dang, bubbles are awesome. Like, you know, like, you're right.
to be the mindset of a child and look at everything like that, that's beautiful. You know, like, I wish we could keep that as adults. And unfortunately, the world's, sucks in that way. but it would be so nice. And I'd take that over being smart any other day.
Right. All
right. Next one.
I literally just had this conversation with Samir.
Oh yeah?
How'd that go? Saying the same thing that me and Samir just had that conversation because Keanu is just like super into like just discovering all kinds of stuff, and he's so amazed. I'm just like, oh my god, to everything. I was like, it's beautiful. So definitely.
And sometimes we're like, come on, we gotta go. Hurry up. But then you're like, dang, like, that is a pretty flower. Hold up, let me go smell it too.
And even now with the climate, how we're living, like, we have COVID babies, like they've been cooped up and not allowed to go out. I think when we met with you guys in this past summer was the first time that our baby went to the park. I think for the first time,
for sure.
And so, she was already a year and a half by then. So yeah, it's definitely a lot going on there.
All right,
next question. Go ahead.
Would you rather go to the past to meet your ancestors or go to the future to meet your great-great-grandchildren?
Ooh, that one's hard.
Ooh, I think that's hard because I want to immediately say past. But that would be dope to go to the future. Like, initially, I would say, like, off top first reaction, I'd say go to the past because I would love to see like my family in El Salvador and how everything was over there, because I don't have any real reference to that. That would be like amazing. But the future, I mean, shit. I mean, that's question type too. I don't know. That's a hard one. That's hard.
That one is hard. I would say, though, I would choose the past only because I believe that we have had past lives. That's my personal belief. So I would want to see what my past lives were, with those ancestors. So that's what I would choose.
Nice.
All right. We'll carry them with us, mamas.
Yeah. Next one. Would you rather know how you'll die or when you'll die?
Neither. That's hard.
She said no.
I'm straight.
Oh,
damn.
I'd rather know how.
Know how? She's like, I ain't taking a shower. I ain't getting wet no more. I already know.
I guess I think I would. I think I would want to know when, because then I would be able to plan till that day. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
I don't like that question.
All right. Would you rather have a terrible boss and a great job, or a great boss and a terrible job?
I think a great boss and a terrible job, because the
I
boss
think
really sets up that
a
environment.
Okay.
Go
Jessie?
ahead. Go ahead, Jessie.
I think I would want a great job and a terrible boss because I could
Okay.
make the most of that situation. At least.
Carlos
I
says,
think I've
wow.
had that situation.
That was my question. All right. Next question. Bagels or donuts?
Donuts.
Donuts for days. I had donuts at my wedding, donuts for my birthday, donuts
Oh,
forever.
wow. Okay. Flour or concentrates?
So I think me,
Concentrate.
like, yeah, I was gonna say concentrate. I was gonna say I think me, like, maybe a year ago would have chose flour, but now concentrate.
Timo got you on that Puffco too, huh?
I know.
Hey, we got to put each other up on game.
All
All
right.
right. Universal respect or unlimited power?
Respect.
Respect.
All right.
All right.
Now, this is the last one here. Share it's it's not really a would you rather, but share something about yourself that you wish your children knew. And I'll tell you right now, Julia wishes that Dalia knew she was hilarious.
I really do. I really do. So much good comedy gets lost on that child right now.
That's a hard one. So share something about me that I wish my baby knew.
Yep.
Like right now.
Yep.
I would say how much I love her, I guess.
Mom.
That's such a mom answer.
I know. It's Canna Mommies.
Yeah, how much we love them, but also for sure. That's a good answer. Yeah, how much that we love him and how much we wanted to have him and we planned for him because that was like, we really tried. There was a few times we didn't think that was going to happen. So he was definitely a blessing.
That is a whole other
Episode
right there in itself. Let me tell you. I think for them to know, and I feel like our parents would tell us that, or like kind of show us or find a way to try and tell, like, oh, I love you unconditionally, and you're like, yeah, whatever, but then you have your own, you're like, dang, I really do love you unconditionally. Like, there is no qualms about it. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I was just talking to my sister about this earlier, that really there's no preparation for motherhood. Even when you're pregnant and you go through that whole experience of your pregnancy, you still will not understand until that day that you deliver and have that baby. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And once that happens, it's just your instincts take over, and it is what it is. Like, it changes your world.
For sure.
So going beyond cannabis, can you share how your parenting style differs from how you were raised?
That's a good question. So, as I mentioned earlier, the way I was raised, it was in a very strict household. I'm a first generation Latina. So my parents, coming from El Salvador, coming from that trauma of going through the Civil War, living through that, and then basically crossing over, as immigrants in the country that had a lot of racism and, segregation kind of embedded in it. They Oh, I'm sorry, baby just got hurt.
No, it's okay.
It's okay, mommy. So I think, they they raised me with that lens, of what they went through and what they want to see for me. I think what's different for me, being a parent, is that, I was able to have the privilege of having my parents be who they are, you know, and having gone through what they've gone through and teach me in that lens. And I can now, you know, pass on the good, you know, to my daughter and kind of show her, you know, where her roots come from, and, you know, how her grandparents really, you know, just were able to be so resilient and determined, you know, into what is now, you know, what is the present now, you know what I mean? So I guess that's how it would differ, you know. It's just I'm able to have the ability to take on those beautiful lessons and experiences and actually give them to her, you know what I mean? Whereas for me, I had to live through it, you know, and I had to like go through the trauma that my parents went through and see them experience it and live through it, you know, with them, whereas my daughter won't have to go through that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And Jessie?
I think that my parents really made it a strong effort to try and shelter me as much as they could, especially because we were in such a rough neighborhood, and they tried to keep me from knowing anything that was like dangerous or harmful. And I think that what I'm gonna, what I mean, it's hard to want to not shelter your child, but I want my child to be able to experience a lot with that, and have those conversations, because there's a lot of times where um, I saw things that I didn't understand that were in the hood, that were just very like, you know, people using heavy drugs, violence, things like that. And those things weren't really ever discussed because it was just like, you're too young sometimes, or maybe they, and maybe, you know, they were right in that way. But some of that stuff is like, you know, we never discussed any of the things that had happened. And I want my child to be able to learn and dissect all of that in open forum with his family, because that's something that I think that and I don't think that my parents did that in a way to harm us. They were trying to protect us, but
Right.
now I see that that was harmful in its own way.
Right.
So,
And then you
yeah,
still did
thanks
what
for the therapy session, guys.
anytime, girl, we got you.
We're here. We're here every Monday at 4:20.
Yeah. We do what we do. What are your thoughts on pregnancy and cannabis? And I know that we touched about it a little bit earlier. But I don't know if y'all have something else you want to share. I'm currently pregnant, shared earlier. I'll also share that I do use the pomadas because they help. They just help and they work. And
How do you use the pomadas?
my buddy over here, show him the magic hands. Show him that magic my hands.
Right here.
He's like, let me put myself on. Look at these hands.
Yeah, he just like on my lower back when, you know, when at the end of the day, I had my baby just sitting on my sciatic nerve, like at month 4. And so he would just kind of help me through that and help me manage a lot of that pain. Cause you know, when you're living with pain, you're living with frustration and things that like probably won't set you off normally, or wouldn't like make you flustered or make you feel some type of way. They're doing it now, right? And you see it the way you like snap at your child, or you snap at your partner or your family, whatever, and you're just sitting there like simmer down. But I'm using that to help myself. But I absolutely agree with what y'all were sharing earlier. When I do go, like when I've gone to my doctor's appointments, I'm like, can I share? Should I share? Should I not say anything? Like, nah, I don't want to get caught up in nothing crazy, you know, because I want to have my back rubbed and not smell like Bengay, you know, like, all right, whatever, like just keep it to myself. So any thoughts?
That's a real question. I mean, you know, similar to kind of what Jessie was saying earlier, when she was pregnant, I had the same kind of experience as well, where I didn't say or use, you know, any cannabis throughout my pregnancy. And I think, you know, the doctors, you know, do say don't use it, right? But you also don't have any scientific backing as to why, you know. I know when I had the baby and I was breastfeeding, you know, I was told not to consume cannabis, but I went through some real serious postpartum depression, you know? And so with going through postpartum, I had to decide at one point, you know, like what works for me in this moment. You know what I mean? Like, is it to be, you know, really just like a terrible mom in the sense of like being in a bad mood, not able to get up, not able to nurture my daughter, you know what I mean? Or should I take care of myself? And I know cannabis can help me to alleviate some of the stress that I'm feeling so that I can come back as a better mom, you know? And, you know, when I made that decision, I'm happy I did, you know what I mean? And I speak about that all the time because had I not made that decision, I don't know where I'd be right now, you know? And I think, you know, when you're pregnant, it's hard because it's like, again, there's stereotypes even for pregnant women, you know what I mean? And how you should be taking care of your womb while you're pregnant, right? And I think, you know, at the end of the day, like there hasn't been anything that has proven cannabis to be harmful. You know what I mean? And if it can provide you a bit of relief, like if it were me, I would, you know, just kind of keep that in mind, you know, if
Right.
that's going to help me to be able to continue my journey, and my pregnancy, you know?
And it's a long journey.
Sure is.
Definitely a long
We on
journey.
that downhill though. We on that downhill.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Baby's coming in March.
Do you guys have names picked out yet?
We got a few. We got a few on the fence.
Maybes.
We got some maybes.
Okay.
So do we want to announce? We're gonna put it out in the live now. So we have Rosemary as one. What's the other? The other one was
the other one. He says, "What's the other one like?" Oh, I can't remember because that's not the one he likes.
That's not the one I like.
Yeah.
What's the other one though?
It's Lily Rose.
Oh,
so
Lily
we want to do
Rose.
flower. So we're going flower.
That's cute.
I like Lily. That's a cute name.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue right. Lily Rose, like Mary Jane, rolls off a lot smoother than Lily Rose. At least for me, it's gonna be hard for me to call my daughter out like Lily Rose. Doesn't sound right.
Lily
What's
Rose.
crazy?
Well, you don't have to say the whole name. Can you just call her Lily?
No,
Nah,
I'm not allowed.
not open to that.
So then it's the first one.
All right. Well, then there's that issue.
Thank you. I guess we got.
Deductive reasoning will lead us to wherever we're going. Well, I mean, if a random name just jumped, like flower name jumps out at me, I still got a few months to go.
Well, here's the other thing. If baby is born in February, I want Violet. But only if baby is born in February.
I'm due March 16th.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Wait, but why Violet?
Because that's another flower, and then the color purple, and that's the color of February as well. Purple. So it just kind of all aligns itself.
Got it. Well, we'll see. I'm excited. I just realized, Jessie, we didn't get a chance to hear your response for the pregnancy and cannabis thoughts. I'm curious to know from your point of view.
Oh yeah. I mean, I spoke a little bit about it before. Like, what I decided for myself was not what I saw a lot in my friend circle. In my friend circle, all my friends smoked throughout their pregnancy, and all their kids are brilliant, and nothing is wrong with them, and they're amazing kids. And you know, there's like I had really, really, really bad nausea in my first 2 trimesters. Sorry, I'm wearing a mask. I'm gonna take it off because no one's in the room right now. I don't know if you could hear me because I felt like I was muffled, but my first 2 trimesters, I was so nauseous. Like everything was making me feel sick. And they were going to prescribe me some like crazy ass, I forget what drug it was, but like I started looking it up, and there's all these studies about like how like there's birth defects and low birth weight and all these things that are side effects with these medications they give you for like nausea. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe there's not enough studies on cannabis. Maybe there is something like low birth weight. I'm not sure. But I feel like cannabis can't be that bad in comparison to the shit they try and give you when you're pregnant, when you're not feeling well, when like they there was I had a difficult pregnancy. I was super nauseous. I had a lot of pains, a lot of anxiety, and they were like trying to give me all kinds of shit, but I didn't take any of it because I was just like on like the internet googling shit, and I'm like looking at the side effects of all these pharmaceuticals, and you know, I don't feel like cannabis is that like on that level of all those pharmaceuticals. So I mean, I feel like if I if I were lucky enough to get pregnant again, I think I probably wouldn't. I probably would smoke. I think I would have made my life easier instead of driving myself nuts thinking about it. Because at the end of the day, nothing really would have happened to me. I did had some friends. She had a baby 2 months prior, 3 months prior to when I was due, and they gave her a hard time about cannabis being in her blood. They drew her blood, and I don't even know if they asked her for her consent. It was very sketchy. So I mean, I mean, even though we're in California and it's legal, it can get you into trouble. So that's the only reason why I personally didn't do it. But it's not because I was scared of what cannabis would do to my child, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, there's so many brilliant little babies that their parents smoked.
And you brought up a great point. Like, let's have longitudinal studies. Let's do the research. Let's come at it with education under our belt, with knowledge, like hard truth, hard facts under our belt. I don't think any of us are sitting here and advocating for and saying this is what you need to do during your pregnancy, or whatever. Everyone has their own decision to make about how they want to live their lives. But let's have hard facts and let's make these educated decisions.
But the only way to do that is by descheduling
Correct.
The plant, right? Because right now, because of the scheduling of the
Exactly.
plant, it doesn't allow for studies to happen.
Right. And women go throughout their pregnancy not sharing or having honest conversations with their, professional, with their OBs or whatever, about what's happening, or what decisions they're making. Let's go back to the chat.
We have a question from the chat line for you ladies. The question is, how did you share your personal marijuana use with your parents?
That's a loaded question.
I got caught the first time. I got caught when I was like 13 with weed, and my mom was pissed, and that didn't go well. Then as an adult later, when I was working in the industry with my brother, I think we started with the pomadas, and it was also because my dad suffered from Alzheimer's and dementia, and so we started giving him CBD with a little bit of THC with it, and there was an effect there that was positive, and so it was less like you're just getting lit.
Right.
But my mom and my dad, when he was alive, knew that we were in the cannabis industry, and now they're full supporting. My mom, like over here, helped us name Fuego 4 and 5. That was her idea.
Oh.
So I mean, there's some positives. They came around to it. It took some time. Like they weren't necessarily in the beginning. Like I said, I got caught as a youngster, and I had a little Tupperware with like a few nugs in it, and my mom suspected and caught me, and that was like, I was grounded, and I was like,
are you using her Tupperware?
Nothing. I'm gonna become nothing. This is, yeah. Why am I using her Tupperware? For sure, definitely. But yeah, and I was pissed because I had just got that, and I was like, damn it, like that was all my money. But yeah, like then fast forward to being an adult and now working in the industry, and my mom has arthritis and back pains, and we started making a lot of pomadas at our lab, and I would bring them home. And at first, I don't even know if I told her the first time that there was cannabis in it, but she had a lot of relief with it, and then I started telling her like, well, this is what's in it. And then I think she was kind of like, you drugged me at first, but after that, it was like she would request it. And I mean, in the Latin culture, they put like, my mom would have alcohol in like rubbing alcohol in the bathroom with like a little nug in it. So like, she needed to cut it out too, being all judgy. Not my mama, but God. Come on. But yeah, so they came around eventually, and now she's a super supporter. And I see her wearing my cannabis brand shirts. I just got like some stuff from Cookies, and she wears it. And
Nice.
definitely would have never thought if you would have told me at 16 years old that that's where I would be, I wouldn't have believed it.
Right.
Nice.
I think for me, for us, or no, I'll speak
My
for
mom still
myself.
doesn't know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
She's here in the chat line.
No, for me it was
Surprise.
right. Um, I think they expect something when they think that you're gonna smoke or that you smoke. You know, they expect you to just be laid out on the couch and just like not be able to function and not do anything. But then they see you hustling, right? And they see you like making things happen, making money moves, and making, you know, like having like business conversations and just like rattling off like, this is where I'm at, and this is, you know, I'm trying to do this and do that, and they're just like, oh snap, let me take a step back and let you like go in that lane, even though I don't know much about it or I don't feel comfortable, you know, yet. Like, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take that path. Like, you know, we're adults, it's nothing they can really do, but you know, just them having at least that much, like, I don't know, mutual respect. I think that's, you know, what it is.
Yeah.
For them to kind of just take a step back and like, I don't get it, I don't understand it, I don't know, you know, what's happening, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the lead on that. So, and then Carlos also shared specifically when Salvadoreño parents' use of marijuana is limited to the use of rubbing alcohol. And I think a lot of us that have opened up to our parents about cannabis, like one of the first things they'll come to us with is like, I got aches and pains. How do can any of that make this go away?
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you for asking that question, Carlos.
You know what? And about Carlos, I didn't realize I was Kike. You should have put Kike instead of Carlos.
So this whole time you're talking to Carlos?
Yeah, this whole time I've been
talking
talking. Yeah, for sure. But that's off tangent, guys. Few more questions before we wrap this up. I know we're strapped for time here. What are some ways that we can support or encourage more women in the cannabis industry? I know you kind of touched on that. You found out that there's a lot more women in the space, but how can we support more women?
I definitely think it's, you know, as a consumer, if you are consuming cannabis on any level, whether it's, you know, flower topical for health and wellness or just to get high, it doesn't matter. I think it's your responsibility as a consumer to do your research on what you're purchasing, whether it be, you know, in the dispensaries or outside of the dispensaries, right? Like doing research on where you are getting your product from and who actually, you know, is curating that product. There's a lot, like Jessie mentioned, there's a lot of women in the industry. There's a lot of women brands, you know, women owned brands that are out there in the industry of all kinds. You know what I mean? Like there's flour, you know, there's eights that you can buy, there's joints, there's topicals, there's edibles, you know, that are made and curated from women. And so I think, you know, if you want to support women, definitely, you know what I mean, do your research and find out who actually manufactured or distributed the brand, or where that brand and that product actually comes from, what farm, you know. And it's as simple as doing that and, you know, finding the product that you resonate with, and you're supporting women, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, we're supporting
Oh yeah, with our shirts too. We're supporting Miss Kindness.
Miss Kindness.
Miss Kindness with her t-shirts. Our shirts here say, well, mine says, "Can a dad have a light?" And then
Mine
Julia's
says, "Can a mom get a light?"
Can a mom get a light? Yeah. So
there are different ways to support. You don't necessarily have to consume, or like there are so many different avenues that people take.
And throughout my tour on dispensaries trying to find the fizz here in LA, they'll like try to refer me to like other drinks, and I'm like, nah, I don't want that, because the fizz, I don't know if you know, but this is made by one of the top Latinas in the industry, and they're like, wait, a Latina makes this? So
right,
this is like, so she makes this? I'm like, yeah, you guys don't know? And they're like, no, we didn't know, but now that we know, we're gonna start pushing it more. So, um, every different dispensary I go to that they try to push like either the keef drinks or
Right
any other
on.
drink. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm looking for the fizz and only the fizz. If you don't got it, call me when you got it, and I leave.
Right on. That's dope. I mean, yeah, dispensaries are actually, I mean, in the Bay Area, they even have like little shelves that highlight like equity brands or woman-owned brands, and
Yes.
like that's now becoming more of a popular thing. I've been seeing it, and it's not like in every dispensary, but it's starting to become a trend, and I'm hoping that more dispensaries adopt that because it really does help the consumer make an educated decision on what they're purchasing. Um, there's I mean, yeah, it's hard to sometimes, do your research when you're in the store. You're like, damn, I just want something right now, and I don't know what. But
Yeah.
ask your bud tenders. A lot of the time, the bud tenders, they really know what's up. They 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 have firsthand knowledge. They talk to the suppliers that come in, and they know what's going on a lot of the time. So I would say if you want to support more women, more Latinos, whatever demographic, I would ask your bud tender and maybe even suggest to your favorite dispensary that maybe they should highlight that because people are interested in that.
For sure.
Last question: what are some projects that you guys have that you're working on that we should be looking out for?
Well, Lisa shared her
I know
juice.
Lisa. I know Lisa shared her new dab um, brand, but you guys got anything else that's coming down the pipeline?
So we definitely like want to continue working on our 4G's product line, and just expanding it to more dispensaries. Right now we're sold across Stizzies, but we want to go ahead and start Stizzies and Gorilla RX, sorry. But right now we want to go ahead and, work on just trying to get that into a lot more dispensaries this year. We want to do juicy dabs like I mentioned earlier, and we do have a few things coming up that I don't think I can actually say yet. So I
Ooh.
really want
Okay.
to, but it's yeah, it's a few things that like are really, I think, identify that are going to really identify with the Latino community. So I'm excited to announce it when they're ready. I would encourage everybody to just follow us on IG, Seventh Wave CA, and we'll announce it on there when we're ready. But for sure, within the new year, we're gonna, build up our repertoire a little bit with our products, and then we also have brands that we manufacture for and distribute for, which all of them are Latino brands as well. So we have a topical, Paul Well's Cannabis Cosmetics topical. We also have a Rated Gas, who's he's Colombian, and it's like some really fire top shelf eighths, and then the third one that we just picked up is Dope Flavors, and they're going to be coming out with an infused pre-roll and a few other SKUs as well. So that's what we're working on this year and just expanding that.
Nice. And just to piggyback off of that, Elisa, we're gonna have uh Jeff from Paul
Oh,
Wells
well.
in the building in 2 weeks. So for those that are
That's
listening and
dope.
want to find out more about the brands that you guys are continuing to support and push, we're gonna have Paul Wells in the building on the 15th, I believe, of December. So definitely be coming through and in the
Save the
event.
date.
Yep, save that date. And we got Dope Flavors too coming in January as well. So we got Dope Flavors that they're scheduled to be on the show in January. So we're definitely always, we're big fans of the work that you're doing, and always want to support you in any way we can.
Thank you. That's exciting. They're really cool, folks. I'm excited for you guys get to know them and to just put their stories out there. They both have some spectacular stories to tell, how they got into the business and what drove them to get into the business and the projects that they're working on. I'm thinking of one in particular with Paul Wells. Like he has some innovative, dope stuff coming out. So try to see if you could get that out of him.
I will. I
You will.
definitely will.
For
And
sure.
what about you, Jesse? What projects do we got coming down the pipeline on your end?
We have a lot going on. So we have our nursery in Oakland for those who are license holders and in the industry that are cultivators. We have our own proprietary genetics that are coming down. We just are about to release our winter menu. Our fall menu is still available on joyus420.com. We always have the fizz, quickies, quick Z's, Fuego 415. We actually just launched Tu Amigo, which is a gram bag. It's a great way so you can try new strains and terpene profiles at a friendlier budget. And what else do we got? We got a lot of stuff going on recently. We have a dispensary that we're opening up in Fairfield that we're actually really excited about, Fairfield, California. So that is coming soon. And when we have our opening date, I can't wait to share that with you guys.
Yeah, we can't
What
wait to
else?
hear about it.
And we have our topicals are coming back out on the market again because I had a little bit of a hiatus. I had stopped making it for a little bit, and we're gonna start doing that again, which is Mama J, which is a lot of pomadas, different essential oils that are gonna help for all that sciatic pain you got, girl. I got you. I'm gonna have to send you some.
There you go.
That's
Yes,
the formulation I was using when I was pregnant too. And what else? I mean, we have a lot of stuff going on, but you can check out what we're doing on our website joyus420.com. I've kind of been taking a break a little bit from IG, but I'm gonna start getting back on there and posting up some stuff. But yeah, our website's our best spot to check us out.
Perfect. Thank
Great.
you, moms, for making time to meet with us, have this chat with us. I know we have busy, hectic lives. We're everywhere and nowhere at once, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, I definitely want to thank you ladies as well for just taking that time and away from the babies and even having the babies in the space. I think that hearing the babies in the background made this episode that much more special because we are talking about Canna parents, and so to have the children in the background, I think that added that extra the cherry on top for sure.
Thank you guys for having us. It was fun. I'm glad to, have spent some time with you guys and check in. It's always a pleasure checking in with y'all, with Jessie. Good to hear from you. And, hopefully we can come back. I'd love to come back, and have another episode, whenever you guys are willing.
Always. You guys are always welcome to come in. And now that we know that we can do this virtually, done deal.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So
yeah, we'll do a catch up, and so we can on new projects. But thank you so much for having us. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so excited to see what is coming up with you guys. I can't wait for the baby.
Yeah, we're excited too. I'm excited. I know I don't show it that much, but I'm excited. But all right, we're gonna close out here, guys. For everyone listening again, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Said Connects. We record live every Monday at 4:20, live from the TGN Latinx station, and also listening in through the Good News Radio app. Make sure to download the app if you haven't done so already, or if you're viewing us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or to the TGN Latinx channel. So you can get updated on all our episodes, and you'll get you'll get those notifications on when we're live. But again, we're live every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Make sure to follow us at Said CED Connects on Instagram and Facebook. Our episodes will stream on Spotify and Apple every Wednesday. Jump in.
Oh, I thought you were.
We're doing double dutch.
Oh, okay, my bad. We're going to give a special shout out to our social equity sponsors. That's Seventh Wave, 4Gs, and Eliza's here. Then we heard a lot about that. Also, Joyus 420 with Jessie and Fuego 415. And then we also want to give a special thanks to Bianca Star Agency as our other social equity sponsor. Also, one of the other sponsors that we didn't bring up earlier, but is Grassdoor. We have Grassdoor Delivery as another sponsor. If you want to go ahead and have your cannabis delivered to you, go ahead and check out grassdoor.com and use Said Connects at checkout, and you'll receive 20% off your first 3 deliveries. Again, that's grassdoor.com, and you use Said Connects, CED Connects at checkout, and you'll receive 20% off your first 3 deliveries. Again, thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Yes,
We really
thank you.
appreciate you for coming through. You guys have any last words? All right. All right. Well, with that
Sorry,
being
We're good.
the baby was like losing it a little bit, but I just
no,
wanted to say again, thank you guys for having us. I appreciate it. And, I had fun, and everybody have a good night and have a great week.
yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, with that being said, we'll see everyone next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right. YouTube gets that extra
Extra time
love.
with us.
But let's see. Let me see. I'm gonna end this broadcast. All right, YouTube viewers. We'll see you guys next week. All right.
Thank you so much for tuning in. It was nice to see some family.
Let's see. And broadcast. There we go.